Linda Israel here, and I've got a few supplies. I've got some Brutus Monroe embossing ink and detail ink. I'm going to use this background stamp from Brutus Monroe, and I'm going to use some clear embossing powder. Today I want to show you how to do a resist technique. This resist technique, what it does is you use embossing powder and you stamp in clear, and then you do a coloring over the top of the clear, and you get a really neat background, if you will. So what I've done prior to the video is I cut a piece of plain cardstock. It's white cardstock. I cut it down to approximately 4 by 5¼ inches, and I'm placing it inside my Misty. The reason why I'm using my Misty is I just like using it since I purchased it, and I've already preloaded my Brutus Monroe background stamp. It's right here. I've got my embossing ink cube, and I'm going to ink up my stamp with this embossing ink. I'm just going to go over the whole image rather quickly. Brutus Monroe does sell a bigger cube, but that's just the size that I have. So I'm just going to go over here and press this down and stamp it. And then I will lift it up. And because I didn't use the magnets, it may stick. But that's okay, because I'm going to rub on the back side of this to make sure it gets all of that impressed. Now you can't see that, but it is stamped in clear. And I like the clear embossing ink because it doesn't give any residue of color. So I can now use the clear embossing powder over that image. And you could probably slightly see that there is powder now on the image. So we're going to heat emboss this. Now when we say heat emboss, we use a heat tool. This is a tool that gets really hot. It is not a hair dryer. The best tool to use is a heat embossing tool. I have lots of people that ask me, can I use a hair dryer? No, it blows too much and it doesn't get near hot enough. So you do want to use a heat tool. They're relatively inexpensive and can be picked up at most hobby stores or ordered online. So I do recommend that if you plan to do a lot of embossing, to pick one up. If you're unsure, try to go borrow one from a friend or go to a local store and see if they'll let you use one in their craft space. So we're going to heat emboss this, and the idea is we're going to emboss this where it turns shiny. So I'm going to show you. It's going to get loud for a moment, and then I will slow down the video so you can see how it works. Now you don't want to touch this right away because it will be hot and you can get burned. So we went really slow and that melted the powder. I think I missed a spot in the center, so I'm going to redo that really quickly. Sometimes it's hard to see when I'm holding it up to the camera and try to emboss at the same time. But now the whole image has been embossed. So now here comes the fun part, the resist portion of it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lay this in my spray box, and I'm going to spray a few of the Tattered Angel Glimmer Mist over it. So I've got a few colors laid out here. I've got Party Pink, Crabberry Zing, True Turquoise, and Night Before Christmas. So you want to shake these side to side, not up and down, because that causes the sprayer to get clogged. So we're just going to shake a couple of these up. I picked these colors because I have a whole box of envelopes that are this color, and I want this card to be usable to that color so I can use up these envelopes. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to spray just a little bit of this turquoise, and it's okay if some of it gets splatters here and there. I'm going to use a little bit of the purple. I'm going to use some of this Party Pink down here at the bottom. And then I want some of this cranberry. And a little bit of the Night Before Christmas. And then one more time with the turquoise. So that's pooled up a little bit on my card. So I'm going to take a paper towel and just mop up some of that excess. And that's just going to pick up some of that ink that was on top of the embossing. And now, do you see the resist? The white is shining through from the cardstock where the embossing powder was. And now you have this beautiful background where the stamped image is showing through. So this will be our card topper. Move things out of the way. And this will go rather quickly. So we've got this part. I've got a card that I've pre-cut. So that's going to go here, and then next is going to go my card topper, but I want to adhere this to here, but I want to finish the edge of my card. So to do that, I've got the Premium Chalk Ink by Brutus Monroe in can't say it today. I've got the Premium Brutus bloopers in rouge. I couldn't get it out today. Rouge. You know, like rouge you put on your cheeks. So I'm just going to go around the bottom edge in the rouge. Close that. Then I'm going to use my words are failing me. The purple one across the top. Maybe I need to eat some lunch. It's lunchtime here for me. I'm going to use my ATG gun because the card is a little bit damp and it will curl. So I'm going to use my ATG gun right up to the edge because this will help the card lay flat. I'm going to place this over my pink mat. And before we put it on the card, I want to put some trim on here. So I've got this real pretty little lace trim that I probably picked up in the hobby store on sale. That's when I buy it. And I'm going to place this across this edge. So what I like to do is place just a little bit of the ATG across the edge so the lace won't flop around. And then we're going to go to the back side and fold this over so you don't have that frayed end showing. And I'm using some Scotch tape. I've got a little tape dispenser here on my desk that is covered in glitter. Okay, and then I've got a piece of ribbon. What I do is I take my ribbon off of the huge paper roll and re-roll it onto a smaller piece of cardboard so I can store it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm putting just a little bit of ATG, so again this won't flop around. And then go to the back side. And tape this down. Because this is going to have more bulk here, I'm going to put a little bit of ATG on this corner and this corner. and prepare this to adhere to my card. I'm using Aleene's white glue because that's what I have, and it's relatively inexpensive. I'm going to place this on here. When I make my mat, I make it just slightly smaller than 5.5 tall and just slightly smaller than 4 1/4 wide. But we're not done. We need a sentiment on the front of our card. I have taken the happy birthday phrase from Sharon's script, and I've got a piece of white cardstock here. I've got the Brutus Monroe detail ink. I'm going to stamp this close to the edge here. I try to get it as straight as possible. And now we're going to trim this with my little handy dandy paper trimmer. I'm going to make that about 3.5 inches in length, and then I'm going to trim it just a little bit narrower than it was. And then I'm going to make it look like a pennant by cutting in just a tad. And let's adhere this onto the front of our card. I'm going to use a little bit of white glue. I'm going to stick it just slightly under the ribbon, and then I'm going to tie a little bow out of this ribbon to finish my card. Sometimes it ties perfectly the first time. Sometimes you got to start over. All right. I'm just going to put a little dollop of glue on the back side and then place that here. So there is how to use embossing as a resist to create a greeting card. Use some Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. Use the Brutus Monroe stamp and the botanical backgrounds, the Sharon script for the happy birthday. From my stash, I used some ribbon and some lace and some pink cardstock that I already had to match my pink envelopes that I already had in my stash. So I'm trying to use it up that I already have, along with some new things that I've acquired. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to use resist embossing in your artwork. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. Make sure that you subscribe. Share this video with your friends, and of course, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching today. It's tongue-tied still. Thank you for watching today. I really do appreciate you watching and all the comments that you leave me. Have a fabulous day and aspire to be amazing.